Yes, my name is Tara, T-A-R-A, Workman, W-O-R-K-M-A-N. I live in Ventura, California. My complaint is against a Officer LaFleur, I believe is his name. I'm not really quite sure, but I do it sounds like that. It says my complaint is against the Ventura Police Department. On Christmas Day, about 10 o'clock, me and my boyfriend were in the very back of my friend's apartment, just him and I. Earlier we had been watching a movie pretty loud, it's Christmas, and then we realized that we wanted to watch a movie on a computer where the signal is better in her room. So we went into her room and proceeded to do what adults do, and then watched a movie with earplugs in to where we couldn't hear anything else. Apparently, I get a phone call, and I look down, my phone is going nuts, and it is a girl who lives in the house in Ventura, and she's freaking out, asking why I'm not opening the door for the police. I had no idea the police were outside, so I got up. I immediately answered the door. Upon opening the door, the only statement that I made was, I don't know what this is about, but you are not allowed to enter the premises as this is not my house. At this point, I was grabbed by the collar and ripped out of the house. I was taken down a hallway and thrown on the floor. At this point, I'm pretty sure someone used their boot to rub my face and my body into the carpet to make sure I stayed down. I was not resisting arrest. I was just asking what was going on, why they were there, all these questions. I wasn't getting any answers. So I stayed down. I was expecting them to tether me or something, thinking that I was in some kind of danger. That did not happen. They finally told me I could stand up, and I'm standing there, and I'm wearing a very small nightgown, and they could definitely see up my skirt. After knocking me down. So I asked for a jacket or something because I was freezing. There were 4 police officers in all. I do not remember much about the other 3 except that they were very extremely polite. They were very professional, but the other police officer, LaFleur, he kept coming at me. He kept trying to antagonize me. I don't remember exactly what he was saying because I was so out of it. I was still asleep. And at this point, I was trying to just ask what the situation was. And I was not told why they were there. I was not told who called. I was not told any of that information. So I stood with the police officer that was actually not the one that was doing all of those things to me. And I stood with the other police officer. He was very nice. I just kind of talked about, normal stuff. And at this point, LaFleur kept coming at me, and the other officer had to ask him to back off, that I was fine, that he had a good rapport with me. After that happened, the officer who was standing with me took pictures of the marks on my face, my hands, my arms. I couldn't bend my arm all the way back. I still can't. I'm pretty bruised, all over. I have short-term memory problems. I've been to the ER twice. After about what felt like 40 to 30 minutes, I'm not really sure how long, I was arrested. And I wasn't sure why, because I was doing everything they asked me to do. And I've never even had a speeding ticket. My record is completely clean. I'm 32 years old. I've never been in trouble in my life. And so I asked and of course it was Officer LaFleur who arrested me. I heard them around the corner after they had hurt me. What would we do with her? Exactly those words. What do we do with her now? After that conversation, a cop went in and talked to my fiance and said in these words, "Please do not associate us with his behavior," meaning Officer LaFleur. At this time, I get arrested. I ask why I'm being arrested. He says I'm interfering with a investigation. This is absolutely untrue. I was standing with an officer the entire time. I did not fight the police officer. I didn't resist arrest. I had no idea why they were even there. They didn't even talk to me at all. They didn't tell me why they were there. They didn't tell me what the problem was, and they didn't even ask me any questions. They talked to my fiancé most of the time, who told him that what he does for a living is sell legal insurance plans. So if it was a matter of me not answering the door in time, why wasn't my fiancé also arrested? I didn't detour any investigation. I really feel like I was arrested because I was hurt and they needed to do something in order to make sure to cover their butts. I sat in a cell on Christmas night for 5 hours, not knowing what I was being charged with, because he did not put it in layman's terms to me at first. I asked him his name. He refused to give it to me. I was booked. They took me forever to book because I have a completely clean record. I don't even have a ticket, like I said. And after that, I was let go, and here I am, and I'm filing a formal complaint. I also
have reached the Ventura Police Department's after-hours business phone line. For non-emergencies, please call back during regular business hours or press 5 now for a dispatcher. If you have an emergency, hang up.
Communications, Chris speaking.
Yes, sir. Can you tell me how to file a complaint against a Ventura police officer?
Well, the normal procedure is to refer that to the person's direct supervisor, which would be their sergeant. Do you mind me asking the name of the officer?
Yeah, it's Officer LaFleur.
LaFleur?
Yeah.
All right. You don't mean like LaJoy, do you?
You know, he wouldn't give his name, and he was being abusive throughout the entire encounter, and he was asked his name several times.
Sir, we don't have an Officer LaFleur, so that's why I'm trying to find out.
No, I'm saying that's why.
Ventura City Police?
I'm trying to explain why the name wasn't obtained, because the person requested it from that officer, and the best we could make out it was LaFleur. Could have been something close to that. So if you have an officer with a name similar, that may be the officer, and I can provide more information once we know what the process is.
Okay, and this is the Ventura City Police, right?
Yes, I actually work for Ventura County Sheriff's, so I know that it's not the sheriff. It's the city police, and the best my friend can make out is the name is LaFleur. Is there an officer with a name similar to that?
No, not really. That's why I asked if it was LaJoy, because that was about the closest thing that we have.
Okay.
To get the one thing to do would be to, you could come in and ask to speak with a watch commander. There's not really here one until like later this afternoon, or they're usually here during the day on weekdays.
Okay.
And if you're able to describe like the incident, maybe when and where it happened, we could probably narrow it down.
Okay, yeah, it happened at 10 p.m. on Christmas Day, and it involved about 4 officers, so there were more than one officer there. The other officers, according to the victim, were very professional, courteous, but Officer LaFleur slammed a young woman to the ground and did some other things that were really don't look appropriate, and she wants to get it reported. I'm trying to help her. So what I'll do is I'll get a clarification from her if that's not the right officer. She does list your police department address and all the information for Ventura PD, which makes me believe that she's got the right place. But I want to make sure we identify the right officer. So I know from the incident report you can have it pulled. So can you just give me some general scope of what the actual process is? Who does she contact? Is there a phone
Well,
number?
that would process. I mean, if she wants to file a complaint, then she needs to, like, if she wants to file a formal complaint, then she just needs to come in. There's a form to fill out, or if she just wants to more of a what's called an informal complaint, where she just wants to sit down and talk with somebody and find out, more what's going on and pass on her concerns about
No,
what's
no, no, no.
happened.
She has injuries, and she was arrested. So she wants more than a talk about it. She wants something in writing. All right, but what you're telling me is she's got to come down there. You guys don't have a form online, and there's no other way for her to communicate with you other than to walk
I
into the
think
lobby.
I'm not positive, to be honest with you. If it's online, you can check our website, theventurapd.org.
Okay.
But the normal procedure was at some point she would need to come in and sit down and speak with a watch commander.
Okay. All right, I'll make her aware of that process, and I appreciate you taking time to talk with me.
Sure thing.
Have a great day. Thank you.
You too.
Bye. Okay, Tara, I've taken a look at your complaint, and as the police are telling me on the phone, you're going to eventually have to talk to them. I know that part of it. But the most important part is what are your rights with regard to what the officer did to you. And I can tell you that based on the statement you gave us, it clearly sounds to me like excessive force. That's how I would categorize it. And I can tell you that there are policies that the police have to follow. We can request the policies from the police department, from Ventura PD, to find out exactly what their policy is. In the meantime, I'm going to just take you to another page on my website with some other information. And what I want you to note, I've emailed you a copy of the use of force policy for the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and I have it up on my screen right now. And basically, they outline what are the parameters for police officers with regard to the use of force. And essentially, it's based on this: they need a good reason to be using force. And what you described in your situation, which is that you were in a house making too much noise, a noise complaint does not require any force at all. That should have been handled with verbal commands or something else. Now, I know you told me you didn't hear them, and maybe that got this officer aggravated, so he felt that he was going to do something beyond what was necessary. Because when you tell me that he grabbed you, snatched you, and slammed you to the ground, at the point that he did those things, I have to evaluate what you said led up to it. And if your version of what led up to it is that you weren't resisting, you weren't fighting, you weren't doing anything, and that he suddenly grabbed you and slammed you to the ground, that is excessive force. Police officers have a threshold they have to meet, and they can only use force to overcome resistance or to protect themselves or to prevent other citizens from being harmed. And that's not what happened here. The other issue about your clothing being raised and all that other stuff, that's a real problem too. Because if you were physically exposed like that as a result of being slammed to the ground without any reason, there are more problems for the police. So, needless to say, I emailed you a copy of the use of force policy. I also emailed you a copy of standards of conduct with regard to searches and citizen contacts. So read those things, and if you have questions, give us a call back, and we'll be happy to assist you further. All right, I'm going to move on with another case, and I wish you well. Hope that you get this resolved. The next case is similar to yours, but we'll see if he needs the same sort of information after I listen to his complaint. Just a moment.
Yes, my name is Dustin Scott. I submitted a complaint online. This is in regards to the Sulphur Springs, Texas Police Department. Again, that's Sulphur Springs, Texas 75482. I have several incidents. They've all been dropped in retaliation to me filing a lawsuit and winning in 2009 against an officer that has previously been sued at least 3 times, and they refuse to acknowledge nor take any action about it. I was at my house. A verbal argument ensued. The police were called, and I was initially arrested and Well, this is the second time that I've been arrested for assault, family violence. I did not touch anybody again. It was just verbal here in Texas. But I was in handcuffs. My mother saw them walking me out of my house, slam me up against the garage door. And while in handcuffs, there was 3 of them, 2 of which have been associated that I dealt with before regarding this other officer. Slammed me on the ground while I was in handcuffs, put their boots against my neck, and of course, stop resisting. I wasn't resisting. I placed my hands behind my back. Well, they picked me up by the handcuffs, and one of my shoes comes off, and before it gets to the patrol car 20 feet away, here it goes again, stop resisting. They throw me up against the car, grab me, get me to the back of the car, tell me if I resist again, they're going to tase me. Again, I've already been tased a few times. That's what that lawsuit was in reference to. Put the taser to my neck and open the door while in handcuffs. I'm getting in. I get into it with one of the guys. He's like, stop resisting, and tases me in the neck. Gets me in the car, starts tasing me in the side of the ribs, and I'm involuntarily jerking, and now he's claiming that, I assaulted a police officer because the door hit his shin. Well, after it was all said and done, I was taken to the county jail. Again, just for running my mouth, I was put into a padded violence cell, naked, for 3 days. Of course, I was in there for the mandatory hold for domestic violence, but they kept me in there a total of, I believe, 6 or 7 days. They said I was being uncooperative. And finally, after I get arraigned, I find out what I'm being charged with. Assault on a police officer, criminal mischief, resisting arrest, assault, domestic violence, disorderly conduct. Again, everything was dropped by the county attorney for the misdemeanor, but the one felony charge that weighs on the district attorney, I got a court-appointed attorney that was a joke, and this guy was wanting me to sign, the 1, 2, 3 plea, and I told him that I was not. I'd rather die. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not a violent person. I've never been convicted of a violent crime. And, they've waited outside of my house before and arrested me for driving while intoxicated. And they've been successful twice, and 2 of them have been dropped. But I'm just sick and tired of the abuse. I just filed some open records requests, and I'm fearing retaliation. They got them. It should have been Saturday, which would have been yesterday, and I'm about to piss a bunch of people off. And I don't have a $5,000 retainer fee that my attorney, is seeking. He has a class action lawsuit with 7 other people against these people, but I just want to get my story heard and possibly maybe even, depending on the circumstances, hold these officers accountable, because once I got the audio and video, it doesn't show them beating the hell out of me. The audio starts when they take me out of the patrol car that I was talking about and put me in another patrol car, and it shows me cursing for 4 minutes. So it's pretty good, but those DVRs aren't tamper-proof. I was under the impression, I'm a former police officer, that those things were tamper-proof, but no, they do edit the videos, they lose the videos, and I'm sick of it. Somebody needs to be held accountable, and, I plan on contacting the city manager and everybody else, but I was hoping that you could help me, sir. Again, this is just a brief synopsis of just one thing. If you if you heard everything, you'd be appalled. So I really don't think you've heard anything quite this bad.
Okay, Dustin, I listened to your complaint, and I do think that what you're reporting is serious. I have had a lot of serious complaints, some including, homicides by police officers. But as a police officer yourself, or a former police officer, you would know that this is not proper. I mean, there's no explanation for it. If they're waiting for you down the street from your house, and if you were tasered as you described, and you had these other incidents in the manner that you described, your case is much like the one I just spoke about a few minutes ago about Tara, and the police are not allowed to do that. So I've called you. I also emailed you a copy of the use of force policy, and we are willing to help you. So I've left a message for you, and I also sent you an email. But give us a call on Monday of next week, tomorrow, and I'll be happy to talk with you about anything we can do, both to expose this and to get the records that you're seeking from the police department. All right, man. Sorry your holiday was ruined in this manner, but we will help you, and we look forward to speaking with you. Take care.